Welcome to another VeVe Digital Collectibles comic breakdown. I'm Corey with VeVe, and today we get to talk about the very first appearance of Bucky Barnes as Captain America. That's right, the comic coming to us from Marvel is Captain America number 34. And Bucky Barnes, for many, was the logical choice to assume the mantle. Before we dive into the storied history of Captain America and Bucky Barnes, let's go over the drop details. Captain America number 34 is scheduled for release on Tuesday, May 30th at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, meaning 7,500 editions total across the 5 variants. This comic will have a retail price of 6.99 gems. Published on February 27th of 2008, with art by Steve Epting and a story by Ed Brubaker, this comic lands us in the aftermath of the assumed death of Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. And you VeVe comic aficionados will remember back whenever the Fallen Sun story arc released on VeVe. That 5-part run showed us the direct aftermath of Captain America's assassination, an event that occurred after the events of Civil War. The apparent death of Steve Rogers left a huge void in the superhero world because Captain America had become more than just a hero, he was a symbol. And that left the question, who would pick up the shield and assume the mantle? And who better than Bucky Barnes? After all, James Buchanan Barnes, aka Bucky, and Steve Rogers shared their first comic appearance. And that first appearance comic was way back on March 1st of 1941 in Captain America Comics number 1. And as we see in today's comic, Captain America number 34, few other characters could have approached this transition with as much respect as Bucky Barnes. And the first step to honoring the history of Steve Rogers was a redesign of the suit, and that came via courtesy Tony Stark. In conversation with the Black Widow, with whom he shared an on and off again romantic relationship, he'd state that no one could replace Steve and what he represented. So the redesign of the costume with Stark was important to Bucky because he couldn't fill those shoes. No one could. And this suit rendition became one of the most popular Captain America costumes that was ever depicted in a comic book. In the real world, it was planned and designed by the absolutely legendary Alex Ross. For me, the suit was unique enough to relay that this was a new and different Captain America, but still contained enough elements of the original design to honor the tradition of the character itself. But suit aside, Bucky didn't have the benefit of the super soldier serum like Steve Rogers did. And this comic did a fantastic job of showing us not only the emotional toll this new responsibility would take on Bucky, but the physical one. And Bucky would have a strong run as Captain America in comics. Ultimately, Steve Rogers would come back to life. They would share the role of Captain America, and through a whole series of events, eventually, Bucky would return to being the Winter Soldier. But there was certainly something special about seeing the once sidekick of Captain America, who made his debut 63 years prior, assume the mantle of his treasured friend. And that's largely what makes this such a historic and important comic. Jumping back to the comic releasing on VeVe, we have our VeVe exclusive rare and ultra rare covers. These two are coming from Stephen Mooney and Edgar Delgado. I was really excited to see these covers because I love this costuming for Captain America, so it's really cool to see it on some more covers. Let's look at all the rarities releasing and those edition numbers. First, the Common Classic cover is minting 4,500 editions. This cover highlights the new look and feel of the costuming. Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier specialized in assassination and clandestine operations, and so his costuming provides more pockets and gadget availability. I always thought the taper of the star and stripes on the chest creating a shield was just a solid designing touch. Next, the Uncommon Vintage variant is minting 1,687 editions. The original artist for the standard trade cover was Steve Epting, and here we'd see that original work with the title and flag in the background muted. This desaturation really makes Bucky pop on this cover. Our first VeVe exclusive is the rare Hero variant, and it's minting 750 editions. Again, the artists for this cover are Stephen Mooney and colorist Edgar Delgado. They gave us a cover where Bucky has bowed his head in respect. The clean lines, pose, centering, and costuming make this an easy pickup for anyone who's a Captain America or Winter Soldier diehard. Next, the ultra rare Vibranium variant is minting 375 editions. Full color saturation compliments of Edgar Delgado highlights what this cover is all about, symbolism. There's an interesting dynamic with this costuming. The arms, accessories, boots, and pants, those are all black, which is is very much reminiscent of how the Winter Soldier dresses. But the elements required to brand him as Captain America create a shield on his chest and in his hands, and those elements are bold and bright. Finally, the secret rare True Believer variant is minting 188 editions. This interior panel is being taken from this full page spread. This is the moment where Bucky first engages enemies as Captain America. In a beautiful bit of circular storytelling, he ends up fighting Advanced Idea Mechanic Nazis in his first battle, just like he was fighting Nazis in his first comic appearance in 1941, back when Steve Rogers was still by his side. And that's a wrap for this breakdown video. I'm a big fan of Bucky Barnes, both as the Winter Soldier and as Captain America. And this specific costuming of Bucky Barnes as Captain America, it's my favorite of the Captain America costumes. So this one's definitely going to be added to my collection. Best of luck if you decide to go for this one too. And until the next breakdown video, keep learning, sharing, and collecting what you love. This is Corey with VeVe, signing off.